With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
The Precision Racing League and its top drivers for open wheel competition look to try and see if they can clinch some championships today, while others look to try and keep that championship battle going for many of their chances. Throughout the evening, it's the PRL's iRoll 4 Series, powered by VCO, from iRacing's virtual Road America. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Open Wheel Thursdays. I'm Justin Prince, alongside with the booth tonight. For the first time in a while, it's Dylan Coyle. Glad to have you back, Dylan, for what's expected to be a wild penultimate round of the season.
Well, thank you very much. I'm excited to be back. You know, it's been a long time coming, Justin, but I think we've got a great race ahead of us here at Road America. It's always fun to come here into Elkhart Lake in Wisconsin. You know, I'll be headed there a little bit later this year in real life, but to see it virtually, oh, it's still a stunner.
Of course, Dylan Coyle now as well, the PR rep for Colleague Racing's number 16 car with Chandler Smith. Meanwhile, the schedule so far has seen plenty of different stops and plenty of different types of circuits. Starting off with tight circuits at the top of the calendar, some Grand Prix circuits. You also have some drafting sections mixed in throughout the schedule. Of course, the Hungaroring, the championship decider, return next week, with many of the drivers looking to see if they can score enough points to be one race ahead by the end of tonight's round here at Road America. And speaking of how things are going in amongst that championship, the pressure is on for Andrew Moran. 29 points the advantage today. If Takeshi Kita slips up in any way today, there is a chance Moran could maybe clinch the championship today, with the maximum amount of points scored throughout the campaign, 37. He needs to be +8 on the pylon, Dylan.
Yeah, you know, it is a close battle up top, but like you said, without the point system, how the format is, that chance for Moran to clinch is here today. Could be a party in Wisconsin with, I would say, a lot of rolls of cheddar cheese.
Very punny, to say the very least. Keep in mind, YS Motorsports Black has been the top team this season. 5 of the 8 victories coming in today from them. The other 3 coming towards the way of Takeshi Kita with Andy's Atomic. Lone Trendy Racing's also seen some solid consistency in terms of points. However, Screwball Racing has had more top 5s than them. 5 of them, in fact, 2 poles, as well as 1 fastest lap. The cars that go, yay, in the top 5, with YS Motorsports Gold, Parabol Racing, Bob Sim Sports Academy, and Pointy End Racing. The last of those scoring points, Whataback Racing, keep in mind, haven't scored points since round 3 in the 10th position, while Manelli Motorsport has been trying to battle from a 20-point penalty earlier in the year. On that note, go ahead.
My bad, right there. He's working off the rust a little bit, but always love seeing some of the team names. Everybody getting ready to go here. I'll give it back over to you, Justin.
Indeed, let's take the time to remind you of some of the presenting sponsors, as this coverage is brought to you by VCO, the Virtual Competition Organization. Tonight's also brought to you by Advanced Sim Racing, owned and operated by passionate sim racers. And Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits built for the market today. Our payroll members also get a 5% discount on ASR products. It's the Precision 5 coupon code. RaceBox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts. Casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted. Button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit RaceBoxSimRacing.com and get 5% off using Precision 5 coupon code. RaceLab helps you improve your driving skills. Modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration. The best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at RaceLab.app. Butt Kicker products include a grill immersion that bring realism to every game. Every nuance, enjoy put yourself in the driver's seat. Mecha Sim Hardware is a small company from the Czech Republic. Goal to produce high-quality sim racing hardware. Looking for high-end pedal sets, handbrakes, or sequential shifters? Visit Mechasim Hardware's eShop right now to get you up to speed. One of the newest presenting sponsors on board throughout the rest of the campaign, Moradness, is a performance lifestyle brand motivated by motorsport and founded by professional race car driver Daniel Morad. For more information, visit moradness.com. And are you ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting more than 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is almost free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit ninjatrader.com to get started with a risk-free trade simulator and start tracking your performance. As these drivers get themselves situated and ready to go for tonight's action, let's take a look at how they're qualifying so far. Drivers have less than 10 minutes to go on the board, 9 minutes to work with for the session, and intriguingly enough, this is one of the smallest grid sizes projected in the field for the season, 17 cars. For tonight's RO4 race entered so far with 8 minutes to go approaching qualifying.
You know, it makes it almost easier for cars that are starting in the back of the field to move up front. And we're seeing time differences so far. Most of the field within 2 seconds of each other. But let's be honest here. It's Road America. This track is huge. So over the course of the 4-mile, 14-turn circuit, you're going to have a lot of differentiation in timed laps. I don't think the difference is as big as we're seeing now.
Yeah, Moran right now up by about nearly 0.2 of a second, the 99 with the 2:08.7. Kashikita second of the championship, third in qualifying by a couple of hundredths, with Austin Harris the sandwich in the midst of that. And when it comes to the National Park of Speed, when it comes to Road America, how do you game plan for this race tonight? Especially knowing how tricky it can be, but also how draft dependent it may be tonight.
Well, you think about it this way. You're not going to see the corners as often as you may see each turn at another track. So you're going to have to really get used to less practice taking each difficult corner. I mean, the carousel is going to be where you're going to gain a ton of speed headed down that chute before the final set of corners come into play. So making sure you maximize your speed around the carousel is probably going to be the most important. As we see coming up the front stretch, this time is going to be a 2:09.798, so not better than his former best time.
That's Michael Blaze in particular, who's had some good runs as of late as well. Kevin McPherson having a solid qualifying run, 7th so far on the pylon, 2:09.2. Does see a bit of improvement, but not so much in terms of positioning on the racetrack. Keep in mind, McPherson started off with 2 DNFs and then a DNS. Amongst those who are the late joiners in the campaign, this is Joseph Homan, right now up to the top 10 with qualifying, a 2:09.8 for one of the U-Dogs drivers. Continue to watch through here, and tonight as well with how you play this out, how do you try and set the passes up is going to be a major discussion point, Dylan. How would you do it tonight?
Oh, goodness. It's really going to take patience, and it's hard to be patient when you are only seeing the passing zones 16 times over the course of this race, or 35 minutes, wherever we get there. And honestly, I think we're going to hit 35 minutes before we hit 16 laps. I think that's an absolute possibility. It's going to be very close. You just have to be patient. There are a good amount of passing zones here, especially turn 1, but at the same time, you're going to struggle if you don't get the run going down these long straights.
Temperature's very cool today as well as per usual when it comes to this side of the car, an open wheel. James O'Brien, meanwhile, started off the season not qualifying. The car starting from the back, having good finishes, being amongst the top 5. Now he's in 8th in this qualifying session, electing to qualify for the past 5 rounds or so, plus to get the track position that he didn't have to start the year. Take a look back over to Andrew Moran as well in particular here, and the thing is, too, there have been some races in the drafting sections where it's been tricky for him to hold on and to get the right strategy. Attrition has been a big factor sometimes, Dylan.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see, this is going to be a good, what we're seeing right now on this camera angle from up top, we're going to start to see the draft come into play as they come around, I believe, as we're seeing right here, yeah, that last corner, and we'll see this draft. Of course, the draft is really going to come into play going up this hill because of all that air resistance that is pushing down against the car that is in front, the trailer. I mean, they're going to have a much easier time following as we see Kevin Santana has taken that top spot from Moran.
And a lot of drafting help, too. That was Kevin McPherson that lined up behind him down the front stretch. And that may have been a major factor towards the line by that 2/10 with McPherson staying to the right side of the track down the flag stand.
This is another heavy drafting, heavy passing zone coming down to this corner down here. It's kind of deceiving because it's going so far downhill by the time you get to that apex that you sometimes just overshoot it. You overshoot it, you head into the gravel, you have no traction, you're headed straight for the wall. And these cars, obviously, it's not like you're seeing a NASCAR car go on these tracks. If you hit the wall, you're done for.
That's an understatement with some of the cars that we've seen. Although I will say the next gens in iRacing are tanks. Still, Lucio Vargas.
In real life, too.
Yes, correct. Speaking of cars, let's take a look at James O'Brien, who does very well in those cars on Sundays. Gonna bump up in the 209.4s, 209.6, looking like the second lap is a sweet spot. John Buckley, meanwhile, looking to improve from a 211.7, has not had any help this entire session. He needs to find 3 seconds to get up to the top of the board. He might fix cars when it comes to this side of the car. 3 minutes to go in this qualifying session. And right now, looking at just the position you see on that track map, some of the drivers don't even have that help. Amongst those who do have help, James O'Brien feeding some draft potentially to Gavin Ray, Santana. He's got clean air for the most part, but already has the top time for now. And the big thing is, when you look at where Moran is, he's got Michael Downen potentially to swap with, and helping Downen right now gain track position.
Well, let's see. This is a fast lap right now, and it's definitely going to be fast. It's a 10th quicker. You see McPherson will jump a few positions as well in that tow behind him.
And not a surprise, look at who's up at the top of the board next. Michael Downen with the help of Andrew Moran to the top of the board with a 2:08.377.
Great lap time, and as they go around one, and that, you know what, let me just say one thing completely off the mark here, but did you know turn 2 here is that little kink before we go down the Moran sweep in that long straightaway? 1, 2, and 3. We'll talk about it later, but just pet peeve of mine at Road America. Anyway.
I mean, technically there's a tunnel underneath that, so technically it turns by a degree or 2.
Now we have to argue if a turn is one where it's a degree or 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever we want to say. But there's just a minute and 40 left. Some of these drivers are going to have just 1 lap left to qualify. Some already in the middle of their penultimate qualifying lap will have this and another if they do decide. I mean, this is a long qualifying session.
The major thing right now, though, is Moran looking like he may have enough time to get 1 more lap once they get to the stripe. It's looking like Downen might be the driver feeding him the draft here when they get to the flag stand, with Moran having to slow up to make the swap work. How do you think this could play out here for Moran once we get to the final lap and get to the checker flag point?
Well, Moran is definitely in tow, close enough, but this might provide a bit of an issue going around the corners because I think he's a little bit too close to feel comfortable enough. If he feels like he can get a better lap the next time by, I would say on this final corner, turn 14 right here, pull back a little bit and just let the draft do its thing. If you get too close, then it compromises your corner speed.
Kevin Santana, invalidated lap, now has found some drafting help with McPherson again. Meanwhile, Moran, remember, had the checkup at the flag stand the previous time by. Down an invalidated lap, Moran invalidated lap. They can go 1 more time to see if they can try and battle for that pole spot. Moran needs 0.3 of a second to have a shot at the top of the pylon. In fact, 0.4.
I don't know. I think he's too close to Dowden. Dowden's not going to give him any favors right here. Why not back him up? I mean, if you're Dowden, you want to keep that top spot. Moran's obviously going to be, I think that's exactly what we're seeing right here.
Remember, they are both YS Motorsports cars. Moran electing to actually push down in here. And that leads to the question, does bump drafting work here?
I guess bump drafting works, but then they're almost dueling it out, coming down to turn 5. Oh, man, I don't know. He went pretty wide right there, Moran. I don't think this is going to be a good lap. If it is, I'll swallow my words.
Look at the projected time right now. Keep in mind that projected time based on the current trends of the lap, 2:09 flat. That is 7/10 off the pole time, but it is getting faster every straightaway. But that's what you're talking about. Look how it peels back in the corner.
Yeah, just he's losing cornering speed, and obviously going around the carousel right here, he's going to lose even more, especially with that dirty air coming into play. This is a very high downforce area right there, and I just don't think, as he goes around the kink, this is not going to be a lap that Moran would like. It's almost like I still think that Dowden should have he's pulling out right now. Moran should have stayed back and lost some tenths so he could kind of not get the disadvantage from that dirty air around the corners, and the cornering speed would be higher, but still get the advantage of the draft. It's all about compromise when you're in a race car, and I don't think the compromise is going to be good as Santana goes off into pit road. He's happy with his time so far in P2. Moran rounds the corner, the final corner. I don't think this is going to be a pole lap whatsoever.
Take a look. Needing 4/10. Will this work out after the swap? Going up towards Canada. It's not an improvement. In fact, it's an invalidated lap time. Moran starts 5th, Kita in 3rd. They are the final drivers we qualifying, with Michael Dowden picking up the pole time today. Michael Dowden 3rd in the championship mix, picks up his first pole of the campaign, Dylan.
A first pole at Road America, a tough track to get right because of all the elevation changes, but he made it work, and the driver in 3rd place in the standings, just 34 points back of Andrew Moran. Well, it's going to give him a bit of an advantage, maybe a shot.
Keep in mind, Michael Dowden, the first of those who haven't DNF'd or DNS'd throughout the campaign this season, now have the track advantage of positioning to start things off once they go up the road and look to try and see what they can do once the green flag flies here today. 17 entrants making their way to Road America here on RaceSpot and VCO. Glad to have you with us for the Precision Racing League's Iro 4 Series, powered by VCO. A few moments away from the starting grid in turn, the separation of note amongst the top drivers in qualifying, around 3.4 seconds from the top of the board to the bottom of the board. In turn, these drivers look to see if they can be the top step of the podium here today. Drivers now get the chance to move over to the starting grid. Michael Dowden, as mentioned, picking up his first pole of the season. The pole award had been dominated prior today by Andrew Moran, Takeshi Kita in the conversation, as well as several others from the teams and points. Dowden adds his name to the list of pole sitters. He'll start alongside Kevin Santana. Takeshi Kita, looking to try and stay in front of car 99, is in front of him for the start in 3rd, with Jake Vasconcelos the sandwich between them both for Pointy End Racing. Moran starts in 5th, with Kevin McPherson having one of his better qualifying runs in 6th. Austin Harris, Michael Blaze, followed by Lucio Vargas and James O'Brien for private label Team Hype in 10th. 11th spot tonight, Barry Cochran. Then it's Joseph Holman, one of the Utah-based drivers, in 12th. Justin Johnson from Evolve Sim Sports Academy back in 13th. Gavin Ray, Andre Saba, along with Drew DeWeese and John Buckley. The 17 entrants tonight, one of the smallest grids of the campaign. Season that's seen 42 different starters. Drivers getting themselves all situated and ready to go for today's action once more. Here from Road America, keep in mind incident point count, 13 incident points. So you have to serve a penalty, 17 incident points. Disqualification, 16 laps up on the board or 35 minutes, whatever comes first. And expect a pit stop to come into play as the track continues to heat up for tonight's action.
This is a decent grid size with 17 cars on the grid. Do you think we're going to see some catastrophes heading into one?
There is the possibility we've seen over the years. Keep in mind, at this track, all the drivers are ready. Are you ready? It's time for the penultimate round for the iRacing 4 Series with the PRL. Up and away we go. We're underway for
North
America, and a crash to start. Down doesn't get going on the blocks. One car backed up on the blocks. A disastrous start for the pole sitter. Santana leads them off into turn 1. Kita, Vasconcelos, Moran, the top 4. McPherson also getting by as a result of a disastrous launch for car number 8.
All that hard work in qualifying leads to that kind of start. I think we've seen that in other open wheel series as some moves are trying to be made down into turn 3.
Dowden, mandatory damage repairs right from the opening block. Drew DeWeese, black flag, jump to start, rolling backwards down the hillside. Kita under attack. Vasconcelos looking to jump or running up to second. Inside line heading up through the sweep. Up to the track though, Kita barely keeps it on the pavement.
I think part of Kita's right wheel tire, or right wheels actually went off into the gravel, so he'll get into or lose that third place position. He jumped one because of Dowden, but of course, getting Wally pipped right there as we head down into the carousel coming up now.
Where Speedville always known for having lots of speed carry through the carousel. Not expecting too many passes here, but very important for the momentum to head your way towards Canada Corner and through Kettle Bottoms. One car launches itself off the track as Vasconcelos from second across the track. Michael Blaze cuts his way around. Everybody somehow misses car 10.
That was a hold your breath kind of moment. I think there was a minute bit of... Uh-oh, what are you seeing?
Another car in the grass, the 7-Eleven Barry Cochran. Lots of trouble to start off the race. All of this is allowed McPherson, Moran, Kita, and Santana to break away.
Oh my goodness. This has been insane for a first lap. Dowden was the leader. The pole sitter obviously was unable to get going. We have more calamity happening in the final corner. Dowden involved. He's going down the pit lane. They're all wrecking still, going up the front stretch. This is insane.
Justin Johnson with troubles. Joseph Holman breaking his car. Multiple meatball flags before we even finished the first lap. This is what happened to Dowden on the replay. He doesn't even go.
No, I couldn't hear what he was saying in the middle of that first lap, but he did apologize and explain the reasoning. Something just was not exactly working on his sim rig, and we keep seeing more replays, of course. This is the off-track expenditure, as you could say right there, and coming right across all the competitors. He tagged Elias right there, and I think actually there's no damage for him, but still we see more action happening over here at the kink, going through Kettle Bottoms in 1111A. So just insanity. And then what happened here?
It's Andreas Sava on his own at the very back of the field, hits the grass in the carousel, and that's part of the story of why we have lost 5 cars in one lap and a 6th having a black flag for a jump start.
That is just remarkable. We do have a kind of a 4-car breakaway at the front of the field with first place Kevin Santana in that devilish 666, pulling away over a second, almost 2 seconds in front, as you see another replay right there. This is just crazy.
That was 2 spins for Vasconcelos, and then this is the last of the meatballs. There's Michael Blaze with the hit, and looks okay, right? Wrong.
Oh, boy. And, oh, boy. Just brutal. Brutal, brutal, brutal.
Justin Johnson trying to go to the right side. The air says no thank you, and Kita says thank you for second. Now Moran wants it back. Moran jumps to second.
Andrew Moran starting in 5th, but he gets a little bit of a slow run going up the front stretch. He'll be side by side right now with Kita. And again, there's being side by side, you have that side draft working against both cars. It's going to allow McPherson to come back into this battle ever so slightly, but not enough room in turn 1. And this is turn 2, by the way. Is it turn 2? What do you think?
Well, one car's seen themselves in the wall. It's Austin Harris in turn 2. Harris from 5th position up against the tire barrier. And another driver with issues as he hits the wall for 3 times for good measure. Up through the Moraine sweep. The draft helping Moran to try and battle with Kita now. To the left side, Moran. Right side, Kita. Heading to the braking mark. It's Moran with the better run.
This is a great 3-car battle for 2 podium spots right now. And can I just say, this is only lap 3. And like you said, we've already lost 5 cars in this 17-car field. So we'll see if that continues. And yes, Justin, chaos!
I mean, the joke before coming into today, to peel the curtain touchback, Lorenzo mentioned, let chaos reign if you two work together again. The drivers themselves have had chaos reign on the track. Here is how Harris spun.
Yeah, you just can't go too wide comfortably through that corner right there as this battle still decides to rage on as we head into the kink, and really close. See that dirty air? See that arrow wash right there? It kind of pushed McPherson to the outside going around the kink. He's going to come down the inside now through Kettle Bottoms into Canada corner. He has the inside line on Kita. Will Kita lose 2 positions in just 1 lap?
Right now, Kita needing to find a way to get single file too, because if they fight too long, that might allow Moran to break away. There's the defense back. And that's the major thing. That side-by-side through those 2 corners there just cost him the draft to Moran.
My, oh my. This has been a remarkably insane first 3 laps of this race. Just unbelievable. And you know what else? We still have another one after this one is done.
And keep in mind, that race going to be very intriguing to say the very least. Red Bull Ring on the docket for the F3 cars later on in the evening. Some drivers have a chance to clinch up titles as well there. But still, in the midst of this fight, McPherson having one of the best races he's had all season, because his best previous point finish, 25th, a top 5 run. He's in line for a possible podium now to try and top that run if he can figure himself out here by the end of this race.
I'll be honest, I feel like everybody is in line for a podium because chaos can reign. Oh, that was a really sharp dive down to the bottom here. He's been given a ton of room, a little bit of an overshoot by Kita, and this position as they go uphill into this difficult to master, easy to get right if you go slow left-handed corner. That is probably my least favorite corner in all of sim racing, just for its level of difficulty.
Hurry down's definitely a section 2 where you have to hurry and make your way forward without sliding off before you head to the Speedville Bridge.
And you go down in elevation, you know, you hurry down.
Well, that's a good point on how that's nicknamed there.
You know, the carousel is because it's like a carousel ride. I'll be here all day.
On that note, coming at 12 laps to go already, under 27 minutes to go on the clock, Santana has broken away by 3 seconds over the battle for second. And he's just in his own bubble, 0.3 of a second quicker than the field.
And the good thing for him is compared to... Oh, no! Right in front of Kita! Spinning around is Kevin McPherson in Canada corner. Got his left side tires into the gravel trap, and you don't have traction there.
Kevin McPherson running up and forth, one of his best races overall of the season so far. Sees him all the way back to 5th because of this. Losing some ground and having to come in. He is not happy with the feel of the car from that hit to the tire barrier.
Oh boy, yeah, I was watching that live, and he's going down into pit lane right now. Obviously a lot of damage. I don't know if that suspension's going to be able to be fixed right there. It's going to take a while to fix it all. But once again, another high-level competitor taken out by pretty much their own mistake.
McPherson doesn't have mandatory damage repair, it's worth noting, but is electing to come down to get something checked out. Might not be liking something with the suspension from that hit, if not the wing.
I know I wouldn't like it.
There's also the possibility, too, with the fuel strap, since we've already burned about 10 minutes, that he's maybe thinking of the very undercut call here. If that's the indeed case, it looks like it's not more than 18 seconds to the box. Still, it's now a 2-car breakaway from the rest of the field by 3 seconds. Moran and Kita. And Kita trying to find a way to keep up on this draft. Moran is already starting to trim it a bit. That gap between him and Santana. And nearly spins it for good measure.
This is a battle. What did you say earlier? Battle of attrition.
You're right about that. Look at John Buckley. We talked about him struggling in qualifying, having no draft help. He's up 8 spots with all the cars crashing today. Up to 9th. Justin Johnson, even with contact, is up 8 spots. You also put up there Gavin Ray, 14th to 6th spot. Up ahead of Johnson, survived 17 seconds back on his own. A lot of big movers, all because the chaos. And oh, by the way, the driver who had to serve the black flag, Drew DeWeese, is already still up 5 spots with all the drivers with mandatory repairs.
I mean, it really is anybody's race, but it's Kevin Santana and Andrew Moran have definitely proven themselves to be the creme de la crop here, and obviously Moran with just 1 position in front of Kita, but not by that much. The draft is starting to pull Kita right back in. The last time they passed, it was around 7/10 in between them, and it's a little closer now.
Yeah, it is starting to trim down, so that's the bright side. So there is that big picture starting to form up here. And, oh no, John Buckley has gone around. John Buckley, mandatory damage repair. He had mentioned he had been bouncing back from a rotator cuff injury entering the night, trying not to push hard. His car now has mandatory repairs, so make it 5 out.
Make it something that goes from carts that go yay to carts that go nay. I mean, that's... I'm sorry. Anyway.
I'm bad at rim shots.
Well, we do have a close battle right now between Kita and Moran. Of course, this is number 1 and 2 in the championship. Moran just... if Kita has that problem, any bigger problem, it could be Moran's championship to win. Of course, this is the penultimate round of the season. And would you say that there's been a lot of racing between these two all year in positions right next to each other? Obviously, coming from someone, the question's coming from someone that hasn't really seen any of the previous races except in preparing for tonight.
Well, to answer the question, yes. But the major thing is the different trends for those who've seen throughout the season have been different. Remember, when one driver has struggled, the other has succeeded and made the way to victory lane, usually except for round 6. The major point differential, remember, that round 6 referred to when Kita DNF'd that day. His second, and Moran and Kita both go off the track.
That was a little too close for comfort right there. Oh, boy.
Well, that's a way to lose half a second and all the time picked up before that mark. So this is not looking great for them to close up to Santana. They have lost now 6/10 by the end of the straightaway.
And Santana really not having any traffic to deal with. I mean, the next person that is in front of him is actually Kevin McPherson, who's at the kink past the carousel. So this is clear track right now for Santana. Any way that he loses this lead is going to be, unfortunately, on him. But let's not think that way. Let's think, look at this battle between Moran and Kita that is raging on. It's right now the closest battle we have on track, and it's between the 2 championship contenders. As that's a bit of a wide turn right there from Moran. I didn't like his turn in, and it really proved to be a poor one there.
Not the best passing zone, though, under the Corvette bridge. Moran using tons of runoff space. Kita, lower corner. Board from above the helmet. Still looking to try and position himself, still keeping close. They've trimmed back just about all the time they lost last time by, and Moran nearly wrecks it again.
I mean, the amount of times that these competitors have almost wrecked themselves out of this race, it's pretty remarkable here, you know? It's Santana's just loving what he's seeing in behind him. And, again, this is his race to lose.
Yeah, Moran very much loose with the grass again. Grass very much like ice here today. James O'Brien has lost a couple seconds despite all this to them, so podium spot's looking secure. Down to 3 seconds. Coming up towards the halfway mark on lap total, but very tight on the clock. You mentioned it. This is one of the bigger tracks distance-wise on the schedule. We might see this go a 15-lapper instead of 16 if we keep on having troubles like we've seen today. As Kita comes in.
So, explain to not just me, but to anybody that is watching for the first time what the pit stop situation looks like, as it's almost looking like it's splitting the 35-minute race in half right there.
That's the big question here too, Dylan, because remember, most of the season the trend has been going about 7 to 11 minutes to go on the clock. Intriguing that Kita elects to go there. If you're picking up on this, Dylan, would you be taking a stop and turn thinking you can jump past Moran and be faster alone than in the draft?
I mean, hey, listen, you're struggling right now with battling your championship competitor. I would say go with the clean air, because right now Santana is having clean air. He did lose around 5/10 that last time by to Andrew Moran, but at the same time, I would say maybe take your chances with just running in clean air without having the pressure or without seeing. Because sometimes seeing your competitor spooks you out a little bit.
Still about 2.5 seconds, although Santana not helping his case, clipping the curbing again through Hurry Downs. Moran, for good measure, nearly driving off the track there. And those differences seem to be the major marks. Moran seems to struggle in a lot of the slow speed. Santana has been losing ground, though, in the high-speed sections to this 99.
And that's a good observation right there, because, I think, now we're talking high-speed sections as high-speed corners. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's because of that battling in between Moran and Kita. You really have to deal with that dirty air, and when you're competing around aero-dependent corners with another car, that's where you're going to both get slowed down.
Great point is Santana flips the grass again, a little bit of curbing. Just past the halfway mark, and now can say 8 estimated laps to go. We are at the halfway point by about 40 seconds, the difference on a clock right now. It might be tight for that lap total. Kita, for reference, back in 8th, took a 4-second pit stop for that fuel.
I'm going to try and do some quick math right here, right? So 35 minutes. Okay, hold on. Let me do some math. Let's see if we're going to come close or if it's going to be with maybe a minute to spare. 1 second.
Here we go. This is why you do not do math calculations on the air.
Listen, that's the fun part, though. We should have done this beforehand. But you get to see the mind go to work. So let's just say every lap's like 2 minutes, 12 seconds just for extra padding. 30... I can't believe I'm doing the calculations right here. Yes?
Are you really doing this right now?
It looks like we're going to come to 15.9 laps complete. We might be right good enough to get that 16th lap in, but no more than that would even be possible. Now it's going to expire on the 15th lap, I believe.
I can hear the face palms from a couple people from here.
All right, Arjuna and Lorenzo, we can get the face palms out of the way. This is getting closer right now between Santana and Moran.
I was about to say the Sector 1 is the toughest thing right now. That's where Moran's picked up the most amount of time out of anywhere else that high speed we mentioned. Right now, it's down to 2.1. It breaks even here, it seems, Dylan. Gains back for Santana's way, then trims back down once they go down the Road America straight.
Now remember, as we look at this lap timing and how close the times have been, as you see, the yellow, and went from red to yellow. I like that, much easier to see. But you see that 6th lap? That was around laps 4 to 6. Oh boy! That was close!
I'm shocked Moran didn't pit there from that. Wow!
I mean, might as well if you were going near the pits, and he saved that. like no one else that I've seen. We're going to have to get a slow motion replay there just to see the reflexes on his steering wheel, because my goodness, that was impressive. Look at that.
That's a lot of torque to try and wheel it over. Here's a look one more time. Watch how much he has to go over top for this bubble.
Wow, he was completely sideways. I mean, we're talking a 45-degree angle right there. Make that turn 15, what he just did.
Moran, once again, with some struggles at the edges of the track, 3 seconds back for the points leader. Right now, Kita, for reference, is 33 seconds back of Santana. Look at this slide. Wow.
I'm still in shock. That was incredible.
There's been at least 4 or 5 cases I can say Moran has been that close to surviving this race. Or even surviving the corner. Nearly spins it again.
I can't believe I just saw that. I looked up at the broadcast real quick from my dashboard right here, and I thought we were seeing a replay, but no, he really did almost just spin that out again. But hey, you know what they say? Loose is fast.
You know, you want to hear the crazy thing? James O'Brien, despite this, is losing time to Moran nearly spinning out. He lost 0.6 that lap. Moran picked up time on third step of the podium from that. So we are approaching that late pit window we talked about. With how things could fare out here, 6 estimated laps to go. Santana likes to go one more time. Moran again nearly wrecks it. Moran again in the grass. How is he still running this thing?
I have no idea, but again, that is another surprising thing that he didn't just
James O'Brien wrecked it in the same corner. O'Brien has spun it in the exact same section in nearly the exact same way, so O'Brien will pit it.
Oh, and he was so close to being able to just lock it down and not touch the tire barriers. He gets a little bit too much curbing on his right side. As we see another replay, I think that's Moran's view. Yeah, here we go with James O'Brien. Yeah, he just got his left tires out a little bit more, and he's down into pit lane. You see, he almost locked it down, but once you go over grass, it's almost like sliding over ice anywhere.
The question is this more tire wear, or is this more just mistakes on keeping it on the track limits?
Oh, man, that's a question we'd have to ask them after the race, because realistically, you don't feel like 16 laps is a lot of time to destroy, absolutely wreck the tires. But, again, you do the math, that's 64 miles. Depending on these tires, it could be to the limits of their maximum usage. You're going to have to nurse the car a little bit as the race ends, but of course the car gets a little bit lighter in fuel. I don't know. I feel like it's a combination of things. It's a combination of not being used to driving on tires that are much more worn than just the fresh tires they run out. Unless they had a lot of time in practice as this Battle for Six rages on. Unless they had a lot of time in practice with long distance runs, they don't know what it feels like until right now.
Well, they do have 2 hours nearly to practice before they quali. There goes Gavin Ray on the outside, watching from Justin Johnson. Through the weave. Can make it plus 10 on the race on the dive. He makes it work for Parabola.
You know, this is some great battling right here, and it's very clean battling. You love to see this kind of racing. Gavin Ray, Justin Johnson, 14th and 13th starting positions right now because of all the problems that their competitors have faced in the top 10. And what are we seeing right on board? It's Kevin Santana and Andrew Moran going down pit lane. So this is going to open up an opportunity for somebody like Vargas to maybe lead for a little bit, unless Vargas decides to go down, yes, into pit lane. I spoke too soon because Vargas did. James O'Brien already is in, and of course he crashed last lap. So a lot of the main competitors down pit lane right now. This is going to be interesting.
Moran missed his stall. Moran had to back up. That cost him time. Santana off and away. Moran yet again loses a second. Gavin Ray has spun the car. Here comes Kita. He'll cycle in front of Moran by a significant margin because of that pit mistake from Moran.
Yeah, and Kita's tires are already warmed up, but they're definitely a few laps. I'd say a little bit more warmed down by maybe 15 or so miles. So it's going to provide Moran, once he gets those tire temps up, which I think they're already up, and now he's in the draft, this is going to be a potential passing opportunity. But I think he's letting off the gas just a little bit here.
Yeah, staying within that half a second or so, maintaining the draft. Here's a look. Moran locks up the tires. That one backup was 1 second in the pit stall. By the time he got backed up, Santana was already gone.
Seconds, tenths of a second, thousandths of a second, they all matter in racing. You see it right there, why?
And as a result, this battle 4 seconds back of Santana. Meanwhile, this is what happened to Ray that we talked about. He looped it around in the battle. Justin Johnson avoids it as well. There goes a spinning around Kevin McPherson. And so it's the 17 of Ray back to 8th, just after coming into the pit lane just the prior lap.
By the way, I hope you saw my math in TeamSpeak. I showed the results, and it looks like time will expire on lap 16 unless anything insanely off-kilter happens. But right around the kink, look at this speed. Moran is going to try and stay in tow. Maybe a move around the outside as Kita defends the inside down the Canada corner. Thinks against it. Smart move. There's still lots of time left in this race, and Kita goes a little bit wide. This is going to lead to a run from Moran.
Moran having to wait for the Road America straight, though. Still about a car length back. 4 laps to go this time, under 9 minutes on the clock. Gonna be tight on the time stop. Meanwhile, speaking of drivers having issues, Justin Johnson, who were having the contact earlier, off the track. And just a little bit of the runoff space for an incident point.
I wonder how many incident points some of these drivers are at if they're close to that 13X mark where it's going to lead to a drive-through penalty. Can't quite see it from the entry list.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if some are very close to this point, including these two, with how they've battled throughout the day. Moran, though, might be playing the fuel strat. Remember, Kita went for the undercut, 4 laps difference on the fuel to make it to the end of this race. Does Moran get the run of the Moraine sweep this time?
Yeah, absolutely. This is close enough to get a run and make a move, but he's going to have to do it around the outside because look at how much speed he gets on Kita, but he slows it down. Oh, he went way wide right there. He's going to get an okay exit. I always get worried that these underbodies almost ride over the top of these curves and almost bottom out if you understand the visual I'm providing.
In some cars, indeed, it can provide damage if you hit those curvy. It's a little bit too hard, we've seen over the years. But right now, not too much damage.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off there, Justin, but I don't think this is exactly Kevin Santana's race yet. He is just 4.2 seconds and looking like it's getting lower and lower as we go around the carousel down or ahead of Kita and Moran. But these two guys battling, that's what's absolutely making it key for Santana because over a 1-lap distance, we haven't seen Santana have the absolute raw speed that we've seen somebody like Moran, somebody like Kita have. Moran's just made too many mistakes. You saw when it was just Moran and Santana out on the track alone as they got very close to that gravel around Canada corner. That speed difference, it's a little bit in Moran's favor as Kita has to defend again. Takes a very wide line. Moran gets a little bit squirrely, gets it corrected though, and the draft up the hill in the front stretch is going on again, Justin.
Moran once again having to try and line it up. Very close on the lap mark. 3 to go at the stripe, under 7 minutes on the clock, coming to 6 minutes. It's going to be tight, to say the very least. Moran no send. Still lining it up on the patient mark, to say the very least.
So let me ask you this. They know that 3 laps is what will be remaining. Do you think that unless it's almost a guaranteed move, do you think Moran forces an issue before that final lap?
Good question, because keep in mind, it's 1 point, the difference with the pass. Moran looking like he wants that 1 point right now. To the right side, Kita on the left. Moran nearly off in the sand trap. Kita to the squeeze. Kita trying to hold it. Kita holds on to it. Kita holds on to second.
it's impossible to make a move on the outside going around turn 6 right there. But now that momentum, it is again going down in hurry down for Moran. Just cannot make the move. I've never seen Kita's car so wide today as it is right now.
Kita trying to... Yeah, that dirty air really causing Moran to have to check up hard in the midst of the carousel. It's not able to close up with the dirty air. Going to see it here through kettle bottoms too. Moran pushes. Still able to line it up for the throttle. Defensive line to Canada corner. Moran gets squeezed by Kita. To the left side, trying to outbrake him, heading to the braking board. Oh, that's a little deep. Moran holds on to it. Kita stays to the inside.
This is going to be key right here. If Kita's able to keep it side by side, he's going to have the inside advantage. They almost touch as Moran got a little bit squirrely. Down the inside, Kita just backs out of it. And Moran, with a touch of the grass, gets it back going. Now, with 2 laps to go here, the draft up the front stretch, it's going to be Moran in the lead, Kita in the tow. Will they go side by side heading into turn 1? He pulls down to the left side. Justin, this is intense.
Moran trying to give a little pinch. Kita trying to make it work outside, heading off to turn 1. Moran with the preferred line. Sliding up is Kita. Kita forced to regroup. Have to try it again, heading up the Moraine sweep.
Down into turn 3. They're going to be single file going down into this sweep. This long straightaway that veers to the right. Santana, he is off and away in the distance. First place, perhaps, it is no longer in question for either of these drivers. It's all about second, almost right up to the gearbox. Kita pulls to the outside in corner number 5. They're side by side, a bit of a push, a bit of a shove, and like we see, they're white-knuckling it indeed.
Kita again forced to regroup. Moran launches it off to the corner, picks up one of his bigger advantages in this fight. Back to 4/10 between the two. Moran again, nearly wide again, heading through hurry downs. This has been his worst section throughout the day.
We have seen Kita in front so many times against Moran through the carousel. How will dirty air affect Kita as compared to what we saw with Moran? I think Kita's struggling a little bit with this dirty air right now.
It is struggling to close that up. Now it's about 6/10 the difference. Heading up to the white flag, this time by will get to lap 16. Kita lines it up for the draft once again. Kita trying to close up, and close up. Can confirm white flag coming up for Santana. The fight is still on, 4.7 seconds back for second. Moran with Kita right behind, heading to the white.
Oh, that was a gorgeous Canada corner by both drivers right there, and going through turn 13. Beautiful again. The final corner of the penultimate lap. They're going to see these corners just one more time. Can Kita get by Moran, pulling down to the right side, trying to snake it and trying to stay to the right side as we head to this right-hand corner in turn 1. This is going to be chaos here in this corner. The chaos corner indeed, as they're side by side heading into turn 1, into the cones. The braking zone comes. There's gravel to the left, and again, they still stick side by side, Justin.
Looking off to turn 3, Moran playing defense. Kita forced on the outside, tries to go for the up and under. Gets it lined up for the draft. One more time up the Moraine sweep through 4 off to 5. One of the best chances left. Can Kita line it up? Moran making it hard. Moran stays to the left side of the track. Now moves it to the middle on defense. Kita forced to go the long way. He's struggled to make this work a few times so far. Moran gives a pinch back as Kita slides to the rumble strips.
Sliding through the rumble strips. Don't try to make a move here on the outside. If you're Kita, just try and keep it clean as much as you can around this corner. Definitely got the better entrance, exit, and apex there. But as they go into hurry down, they're going to have to hurry up if Kita wants to make this move. Down the inside. Will he think about it? No, he'll stay right in tow, right behind the gearbox. Just half a lap to go here at Road America.
Kita trying to back it up, line it up for that run to Canada corner. That was the line. Moran made work to take that spot for second. Kita really pushing though with the arrow, Dylan.
Horrible there. That is going to absolutely ruin any chance of a pass unless a miracle happens here for Kita. I mean, look at that gap right now. It's half a second. He's not going to come in close enough here at Canada corner, and that almost completely destroys any passing opportunities here. I think Moran's got this.
Moran having to hold on for a few more corners to be able to make it a 30-point difference heading to the final race. All while Kevin Santana, he's been on his lonesome much of the day. His competitors have closed it up within a few seconds. But now, Kevin Santana comes out of the final corner. Kevin Santana in car 666 gets the victory for the first time this season at Road America. Moran holding on over Kita for second. Kita, the final step of the podium, 20 seconds plus over Lucio Vargas.
Wow, Justin. It was that carousel. Great run by Santana. Might not have been the fastest on raw speed, but in terms of consistency and cleanliness, he deserved that win. The first of the season for Kevin Santana.
Fourth different winner of the campaign, and one car has managed to beach themselves. Austin Harris somehow has gotten stuck in the sand trap. He is still in 10th.
Yeah, he hasn't even finished the race yet.
So drivers will have a few moments to finish, especially with Austin Harris coming out of the sand trap. This is why. And he nearly found a way to make sure it could not get out.
Talking about using the curves almost as a way to beach yourself, but how about actually sitting in the beach? There's just a lack of water right there to make it serene.
So Austin Harris will be the final driver to take the checker flag, hence Barney waving enthusiastically for him to cross the stripe to round out today's finishers. Overall, just 10 on the lead lap, and a grand total of 7 finishing laps down, including 4 double-digit laps down with crashes. Let's take a look at the unofficial race results. Kevin Santana, for the first time this campaign, gets the victory, able to hold on by about 4 seconds over Andrew Moran. Moran several times did close the gap to under 3 seconds, nearly under 2 seconds, before, well, the final corner happened several times. Takeshi Kita finished in 3rd, Lucio Vargas, Michael Blaze in the top 5, Gavin Array from 14th to 6th, with Justin Johnson surviving to 7th. McPherson, after his issues and wing change, still finishes 8th. DeWeese and Harris the top 10, with Vasconcelos 2 laps down. It's important to note he was the first of those who got a meatball flag and got the car fixed. James O'Brien, after his incident, finished the race after 7 minutes of repairs, 3 laps down. Michael Downen, after his start issues, another 8 minutes of repairs, 4 laps down. Well, the DNFs fully include Buckley, Cochran, Homan, and Saba here today. Very wild to say the very least here today from Road America. Lots of drivers very enthused to have the chance to speak with us today. Let's take the time to speak to the first of those drivers for today's podium. Man we've seen have very few words in the past. Kevin Santana, you dominated today. How are you feeling?
Finally won one this season.
Okay. So in 100 words or more, how would you describe how you got this done and the pressure to hold on?
If I stutter, I might be able to get 100 words.
I'm trying.
I like this man.
Okay.
I got lucky at the start and got a good jump where they couldn't get a draft on me. That's pretty much what it boils down to.
Yeah, how difficult was it, though, to keep the car going a few times? Notice you lost time, for example, coming down the Marine sweep.
Yeah, a couple little foul-ups here and there. But luckily, especially after the pit stop, when those two started racing each other, when they came out side by side almost, I knew I could kind of back off the last few laps because they were going to race each other.
Well, Kevin, congratulations. Your first victory of the season. You lead every lap on the way to the W.
Thank you.
It's Kevin Santana with the victory. Dylan Coyle gets to catch up with the man who had to save his car at least a dozen times, Andrew Moran.
Yeah, Andrew Moran. Let me just first ask you, how are the wrists feeling right now?
They're pretty good. Don't know how I was able to make that many mistakes and still finish in second. I was happy with it.
There were a few moments that we did think, how in the world did you keep that car under control? But speaks to the ability there. So obviously fighting for that championship, you're closing in on the possibility of it. How are you feeling with one race to go?
Pretty good. I kind of feel like the first loser. I still felt like if I didn't make those mistakes, I could have won my race. But Kevin is a great driver, and you know, he limited his mistakes this race, and able to win. But I feel good going to the last race.
Andrew, best of luck and congratulations on second.
Thanks, guys.
Andrew Moran in second, Takeshi Kita third. Takeshi, you tried as hard as you could in that fight, taking the undercut call. Talk us through the strategy decision, trying to undercut Moran.
Well, I thought that I could be faster on my own, so I tried to do the undercut and have some time on free air, and well, it worked for a while.
And the pressure having to be on, to say the least, with today. Points going towards Moran's direction to grow the gap a bit. Approach for the final race of the season, about 30 points the difference.
I think it is pretty much done. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm still going for the win, but I think the championship is kind of decided already.
Well, on that note, thank you very much for the time, Takeshi.
Thank you, guys.
It's Takeshi Kita coming away. Third place finish, like to take the top three. With that, let's take a look at the schedule one more time. Hungaroring up next, Dylan, to close out the season.
Such a difficult circuit to get right. It's a really thin circuit as well, so I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see as much side-by-side action. But then again, slower open-wheeled cars, it always leads to some interesting battles when really the aero dependency is not needed as much. And, well, when we get to thin spins, really, at all. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Once again, March the 2nd, the date we head to this facility to determine the IR04 champion. Be sure to tune in then. On that note, it's time to head over a little country apart. It's time to head to the Formula 3 Series, powered by VCO, PRL, as it's the Red Bull Ring that's on the docket. We look to see how they race in Spielberg tonight. It's a track throughout the campaign in all the series, Dylan, that it's provided some wild action. It's a track again with high speed, but very quick to determine the second and last race of their season before heading to Watkins Glen.
I mean, this track is just so much fun. It is so fast. And, you know, we had 10 drivers out of the 17 that entered into the former race actually end up on the lead lap. If it's any bit of trouble for some of these drivers to get around this circuit, we're going to see a lot more lap cars and a lot more traffic come into play here because it's a much smaller circuit as well. It's almost 1.5 miles smaller. And if you can translate that into kilometers for our over the seas friends, it's a lot smaller than Road America. It's going to lead to a lot more action in terms of that traffic.
Let's take a look at the point standing. Start with the pro side, and this can be clinched up tonight. 45 points the difference between Michael Kofre and Andrew Waring. Remember, Kofre's worst points finish of the year won. Waring missed a race, then DNF'd, or rather flipped that around, DNF'd and DNS. That's put him this far behind. The goal is simple if you're Michael Kofre. Finish the race, Dylan.
I'm looking at the standings right now, and again, coming into this series, not being a part of what we've seen so far, seeing his statistics, remarkable. I mean, from, like you said, his worst points result was 1, but his second worst was 20, and the third worst, all above, all in the 30s. That's incredible for Kofre.
Very consistent. There's a reason he's had 6 top 5s, but also 3 poles. The AM side, though, very different, because remember, it's by the overall top 30. John Quinn, who started the season with the DNF, leads by 6 points over Alexander Rivera. Here's the thing, Rivera's been better in qualifying, but has had horrific luck, 2 DNFs and a DNS. Keep it that close for a driver with 2 top 5s.
Remarkable. This is going to be close between all these drivers here in the Formula 3 AM standings. So a lot of fun seeing all the different types of championship battling in this series. Of course, PRL, there are so many cool series and so many different formats, and I think that keeps everybody kind of on their toes and intrigued in what's coming next.
Going to be very intriguing, especially if you think of the team dynamic evolved. Keep in mind, battling with Wave Italy, they separate themselves 12 points, entering the night with both of them double-digit points in top 5s. Let's talk about this track in turn tonight, the Red Bull Ring. This facility has a grand total of 10 turns. It's going to be very intriguing how it's played out, though, as the night progresses.
I cannot pronounce the corners like I did with Road America. Justin, any help?
Niki Lauda curve, keep in
there
mind.
We go.
Always a very dangerous section. That run up to Rima's. Also a very tricky section known for the dive bombs. Don't forget, though, off-track city turns 9 and 10.
Yep, you're not kidding about that. There's a lot of moments on this track that you're almost going to have Code Brown moments. Of course, that Niki Lauda curve, you have that sausage curve right down the inside. You hit that, you're flying.
Now tonight, the pro drivers in the red, white are your AM drivers, Michael and Sebastian Coffre, within about a 10.5 to 10th. Top 2 spots, Cody Grahams, who's been running essentially the part-time campaign after missing the start of the season and missing a lot of his events, has won 2 out of the 3 times he's run this year.
Yeah, that's definitely a driver that's going to be one to watch here. But again, there's so much chaos that happens at the Red Bull Ring. It's very different than what we've seen at Road American. Obviously, you can already see, if this is your first time tuning in here, you can see that speed difference between the IR04 and the Formula 3 cars. They take different skill sets to drive. They're not very similar in terms of how you approach corners and all the speed, trying to maximize your exit speed and the arc that you hit the apex at. This track is going to provide a huge challenge for these drivers. And like you said, off-track city, that's a big thing here.
So keep an eye on Ozzy Milwane. He's also in that conversation. We see him third in the points, 5 top 5s of win and a pole throughout this campaign. Still yet to get a fast lap, but he is quietly amongst those where if Coffre slips up, it could become Coffre, Waring, and Milwane in the conversation, as well as maybe Max Preston. If you are in this gold car, how do you approach this if you're Michael Coffre to make sure you stay out of trouble to clinch the title tonight?
Well, first things first. Just make sure you get on the pole and then worry about everything else after the fact. This is important. 7.5 minutes left in qualifying. Coffre obviously just under 2 tenths up, and he's trying to make it another few tenths here as he rounds that final corner, or corner number 10. Comes down the front stretch. This is a quick lap, but is it quicker? No, it's 2 tenths slower almost than his previous best lap. But the scariest thing is after you get pole is you're going to have to deal with a buzzing herd of Hornets right behind you heading down into a very, very tight turn 1. And the number of drivers we are seeing qualifying for this race, it's almost double who started in the previous one.
Give a shout out to Steven Renner's having one of his best qualifying runs of the year. Top 10 so far. And one of the atomic racing machines. Right now, the 123 is his quick times, 124 flat. That time by the stripe. By the way, for those wondering, where in the world is Kevin Sandiego? He's on the couch tonight. He has torn apart the sim rig as part of a home remodeling. Take a look at Rivera. He's the top AM qualifier again. Every time he's done that, he's been having to dodge trouble. His teammate John Quinn also behind him, currently in 16th overall. Dylan.
Hello. Yes. Sorry, I was typing in the TeamSpeak as we do that. But nonetheless, yeah, just 6 minutes to go here, and Rivera is also just around a 10th away from a better lap to being almost in that top 10. So, reminder that the amateur championship, they score points based on overall position. So, definitely a difference in how they calculate everything here.
That's been the tough thing because Rivera, keep in mind, has been in that conversation for the podiums too. At the bounce arounds too. That's the major thing. We've seen several AM drivers do that in the majority of the season throughout the campaign. 5 minutes to go in qualifying. Drivers still have a few more moments to tweak things, get their setups finally heated up, and get the track position. Important to note, one driver does not have it. Car 1, Andrew Waring, 21st in qualifying so far. A massive, massive step back for second of the points. Right now, his best time for reference in the 124 flats, Kofre 122.8. Other drivers not having the greatest of times. That's the 87 car looping it around. That is Eric Dubé with the tow. Come on, Michael Kofre looking to tow to be able to get things situated for one more possible run. Sebastian Kofre had already gotten the pit lane moments ago. We'll keep an eye on Cody Graham's needing to find 0.2 of a second just about to be able to get the pole time. And keep in mind, Knox eMotorsports, their cars, they're quick whenever they've gotten the track position, as we've seen from them with Graham's and Jake Potts this year, Dylan.
You know, Graham's and Potts, it's probably the biggest gap that you would see between a third and fourth place right now, and it's not saying much. With just over a tenth in between, Graham's is trying to extend that lead that he's got over Potts right now as he crosses the line. It's just a .5 slower than his previous best, so that's consistency right there.
Keep in mind, it's 4 1/1000ths of a second between Kofre, Sebastian Kofre, and Cody Graham's up on the timesheet. Rivera, by the way, you've seen on the pylon, jumping up now to 11th, has extended the cushion vastly. For the AM's top qualifier, Eric Dubé is the reason for the smoke screen again.
I was going to mention that smoke screen right there. It's something we're going to see a lot of in the race. Now, we talked a lot about drafting points in passing zones in the race at Road America, but because you're going to go around this track 30 times, you're going to get really used to seeing a lot of the same passing zones. To you, Justin, where are they where you can potentially force the issue or just calmly take it into your own hands? I know that the run-up all the way up the hill out of the Niki Lauda curve is definitely going to be the easiest passing zone besides the next corner.
Yes, Lost Gold as well going to be very critical, as we've seen throughout the years, too, on Race Spot. That's always been a section where if you can keep it alongside, make the move. We've seen that work. Few times, though, may see some drivers brave through Niki Lauda off the start. Cody Graham's, meanwhile, looking to see if he can rise up on the pylon. Can't yet. Down to the final 2 minutes or so. Shout out to Jordan Kuntz, who has started a few races this campaign, has DNF'd in 2 of them. His best points finished 19 total points scored, yet to get in the top 5, but he has been up there. It's just a matter of not spinning it in some of the cases for the proximity racing car.
But who are some of the drivers in this series that you think might surprise us tonight?
I mean, one of them is on the screen right here. You could also throw in the conversation, possibly based just on alone on the quality speed. Surprises with Waring back in 16th, a Caboeasy in 19th. Something is up for the Evolve cars to be that far back, Dylan, when they're usually top 5 qualifiers.
You know, it might be partially to do with the traffic here at this track. You see there's not much room to get a clean lap without another driver almost influencing the time that you're getting in one lap, whether that's in a positive way or a negative way, that you're getting the tow or you're in the dirty air or you're really having a struggle there, as we see not on screen, but Cody Graham's aborts his lap. But Andrew Hardman from Britannia iSports is going to try and get this lap down, as you see, down this long straightaway. It's, oh man, I don't know. He's got probably the most clean air that you could possibly get at this track right now for a qualifying run, and he's still within a couple tenths of a car in front and behind.
About half a second back of the pylon. Hardman, remember, last time we raced over at Long Beach, for example, did really well there, for example. 9th in the standings entering the day today. So we've seen flashes of Britannia iSports being able to qualify well and keep it up at the front. Hardman right now coming off an invalidated time, needing to get up to the 122 bracket for the first time for him all session.
Only one driver, and that's, of course, Michael Kofre, has been able to break that 122 barrier. Hardman crosses the line, and 7th is where he is currently at. Sebastian Kofre, you were saying, Justin?
I was about to say, he might get a shot in another lap. He was right on the stripe with the checker flag waving. So he might be amongst those who can get it done if he can get it done. Indeed, if it looked to be right. Robert Ridgway completing the run here, meanwhile. Looking to bobble, looking to weave, invalidated time, so may as well slip and slide it.
Yeah, Hardman, his wheel is still showing a countdown, or count up, I should say, a timer on his lap, so this is definitely a valid lap. Last chance for Hardman to move higher than 7th.
Joey Haynes amongst those. The highest, in fact, for their respective teams so far in 15th. Not liking his run, just pulling to the side with another invalidated lap. Evolve with a really rough night in qualifying. Their worst as a team this year. As a Coboeasy's back in 19th. He's been a top 10 starter all year.
That is definitely going to play a part in the race, because if you have a driver who is so used to starting up front as Hardman just decides to end it on this lap, when you have a driver so far up front like that for most of the year and they're starting back in the field, that can only mean an overtake palooza.
Michael Broomhead, the last driver to qualify, does move up one spot over John Quinn. That could be helpful when it comes to the AM side of the point standing. So with that, all drivers have completed qualifying. Thoughts on the session where Wave Italy dominates, but in turn, Evolve slips back hard.
1.6 seconds is all that stands between Michael Kofre in first and James Carter in 32nd over the course of a 1 minute, 23 second average lap time. That is really impressive. This is a strong field tonight.
The speed rate very high. The speed very tightly compact tonight. One of the closer qualifying differences we may see this year. On that note, drivers now have the next minute and 50 seconds to get their cars to the starting blocks. 32 entrants ready to go from the Red Bull Ring for Formula 3 Series powered by VCO for the PRL. It's time in turn to see how they'll line up tonight. On the pole today, it's Michael Kofre by 1.89 tenths of a second over Sebastian Kofre. Grams and Potts, the teammates, 3rd and 4th. Garner Kutz, one of his best qualifying runs in 5th. Justin Negretti in 6th. Hardman starts in 7th, then it's Ozzie Milwain in 8th. Back in 9th is Ridgway with Ritters in the top 10. Rivera is the top running driver from the M class again in qualifying in 11th. Placio in 12th. Manuel Vargas starts in 13th with James Miller in 14th. Haynes and Waring a shocking starting spot. 7/10 back in 16th. Broomhead and Quinn, the top 18. Another shocker. A Coboeasy, nearly a second off the pole in 19th. Miles in 20th over Swindells and Daly. Then it's Eric Dubé looking to recover from multiple Q-run spins with Michael B. Myers, 24th. Miller, Duhamel, Chablis, and Courtney back in the field. Elton Smith and Dave Peterson, the top 30. Two more drivers did qualify. Brett Thurman, 31st. And James Carter, the last driver to set a time tonight, on the board, 1.7 seconds back.
Justin, I think what we will see is that there is more than enough time, probably within a lap and a half, 2 laps of room between that 45-minute barrier and the 30 laps that we're going. We could have had 2 extra laps if we needed.
Waiting on just Robert Ridgway to get ourselves situated. All the drivers have made their way to the starting blocks. It's time to go racing for the Formula 3 Series for the PRL powered by VCO. Green lights are out. We're underway from the Red Bull Ring. Great start for Michael Kofre. Sebastian Kofre already on defense. Grams with a great launch to the outside of him. Deep on the brakes to second goes Grams. And off and away we go. 3 wide through Nicky Lauda with a crash. That was Manuel Vargas getting spun around the rest of the field, able to get through cleanly for the most part. Sebastian Kofre 1 second back. Want to keep up with Michael on the left side of the track. The squeeze with Jake Potts in the popcorn seat. Grams defends it. Michael Kofre leading by 1.2 seconds to Sector 2.
That is exactly what he had hoped for. Remember what we said, just get the pole and everything else. Just make sure you're taking care of your business side by side heading into turn 4.
Still looking to fight them off as Grams. He does with Potts keeping close. 3 wide was behind them with Hardman coming up on top to get up to the top 5. No other major incidents throughout the rest of the pack so far. Already, Michael Kofre setting sail for the quick Sector 3 through 7 and 8.
Some cars through that 6, 7, and 8 sector side by side, but it's slowing them down mightily and allowing everybody else who went through single file to get that speed. We have this camera angle low to the track. Look how close all these cars are as they head down into 9 and 10.
Everybody's testing the runoff section. Again, special rules in effect on this racetrack with that runoff area coming out of Red Bull Mobile. Single file for the top 4 or so. Several drivers making moves like Robert Ridgway, the first to the inside, up through Nicky Lauda. Ridgway up 1 to start things off. So far, a great start too if you throw Alexander Rivera in there. Still holding on to a decent cushion for the M lead as there's the 2x2 around Kuntz and company.
Man, if you had a seat at the Nicky Lauda curve, how awesome would it be seeing all of these Formula 3 cars heading all the way up the hill into Remus right here. All of them very calm, very gentlemanly driving so far. No one's hitting each other yet, but of course, the broadcaster's curse does exist, so.
Give it a moment for the curse to come into effect. Steven Ritter's nearly getting hit from behind. Rivera to the inside of them. Down was James Belair on the send. Ilya Placio also behind them watching this breakdown. And there goes Malera on the send this time on the AM leader. Off the track goes the 27 Runners for 3 wide.
3 wide's not going to work here. Are they going to be able to make it 6 so far? Yes, now they're 2x2. And somehow making it work 3 wide again. This is dangerous times. It's only the 2nd lap. Will they be able to make it stick? So far, so good.
The Atomic Monkey Butt car watching Ritters getting a door with the tires hit from the side from Malaire. Ryan Miles up and through for 6 spots gain in the first 2.5 laps. Now to start lap 3, 3 wide again. Miles pulls it back. That helps. However, Ritters move back into 12th. On a slide by another one of the Atomic cars.
I'll tell you who just took out a few tenths of a second there from the lead that Michael Kofre had. It was Cody Grams. Grams is closing on in. Sebastian Kofre in between. It's a Kofre sandwich right now.
And you know what isn't helping? Jake Potts having some struggles to keep up with Kofre and Grams. Already looking about a more slipping and sliding. Brad Miller, apologies over the radio. That's one of the Atomic cars yet again losing ground. Here comes Justin Negrete looking for 4th.
Yeah, Miller had to deal with a slide in front and ended up, can't be dooring. It's more like wheeling Eric Dube. So a lot of action happening all over. But again, Kofre losing ground.
And Michael Kofre 7 tenths up. There goes the run for Jake Potts. And now Ozzie Milwane over the hill crest. Having to play to the inside line. Milwane tries the up and under and turn on Justin Negrete.
Obviously, this is big for Ozzie Milwane, too, who is 3rd in the standings right now, sitting currently in 7th, trying to deal with, or 6th, and trying to deal with all of this action happening. He has a good ride, and oh my goodness, this is just absolute insanity coming out of the Nicky Lauda curve.
By the way, Andrew Waring is up to 9th as a result of all the fighting. He slipped by all this. Here's a look at how things started. 1 car going around, just the one from that.
Just 1 car and 3 cars made any bit of contact. That's pretty remarkable right there.
Reference Manuel Vargas is in 28th from that spin. Here comes Negrete again. Ozzie Milwane looking to defend 3 wide with Andrew Hardman having to peel it back.
That corner is, within recent years, probably most famous for a Alex Albon and Lewis Hamilton run-in. You think we'll have anything like that this race?
I'm shocked we haven't had a run-in with anybody fender to fender yet on the tires as they go up through the S's. Oh, and one car is off in that section. James Belair has gone off the circuit. The rest of the field staying calm. Only 2 cars have spun around today.
I think I've seen another one spin, but it was a very light spin without any contact, and it was a single car spin. So I'd mark it up to 3 that we have seen collectively as we see him pulling to the right side, trying to get the inside line here, coming up to the Niki Lauda curve. Will he be able to make the move work? It's almost a guarantee if you're on the inside there, if they give you room on the outside.
Rivera also trying to gain ground. Speaking of ground being gained up, here comes Grams on Michael Kofre. It's talked about. The cushion went up to around nearly 1.5 seconds up. Grams able to chip it down a tenth a lap last time, a couple tenths more the previous few, and now he's in drafting distance with the leader. Oh, and looking more comfortable in the grip too.
Oh boy, he's got that momentum. He's got the grip. He's right up to the gearbox. Not really a passing lane unless you already had a tire to the left of the rear left tire of the leader in front. But nonetheless, Cody Grams is looking fast. And like you said, Grams has only raced in a handful of races this year. And whenever he races, what's he do pretty much always? Win.
And do so in exciting fashion usually. Still 2
This is
tenths
pretty
back.
exciting.
Yeah. They have picked up a 2-second cushion over Sebastian Kofre. Pot 6 seconds back. Grams in a good spot to line it up, coming out of the Niki Lauda curve for the run off to 2. There's the slide, hits the sausage curve.
Ooh.
Grams might have to be brave on the brakes here to make this work.
They're side by side, heading up the hill. We see the brake markers, 150, and late breaker. Cody Grams is able to make it work, at least for the time being. He's got 2 car lengths, maybe 3 between him and Kofre.
Look like Michael, if anything, let him have it with that speed.
It was just too fast to try and deal with, but he'll get right on the attack here. First time that he is seeing the gearbox of another car in front of him, and Cody Grams, he's got clean air, clean track in front. It might not be for long, though. We're just 6 laps into this race, and lap traffic gets within a minute. So I'd say give it another 12 laps or so. We're going to start seeing traffic be an issue for these leaders.
Now today, 30 estimated laps total on the board. 45 minutes up on the clock. A little bit on the lengthier side today with the track. Right now, keep in mind. Oh, and big bubble Grams off the circuit. Grams holds on to it. Michael Kofre takes advantage for the lead.
Baby, that was some wiggling and action right there. How he kept that car straight, well, I guess turning right, I have no idea.
Guess who's here? Sebastian Kofre back in the conversation from that 2 Grams. Having to take the off track there to hold on to that car. James Belair, by the way, black flag already.
13X?
Has to be something with the time penalty. If you don't give enough time up, if you cut the course, you have to serve a penalty under the run in the pit. Here's Rivera. So far, good cushion. 4 seconds over Michael Broomhead and John Quinn.
The top 10, for the most part, except for the battle that Jordan Coombs is currently involved in, as we see him get right by a driver, Negret, in turn
Oh, there it goes,
4.
Daly.
Oh, no! Yeah, you see it right there.
And that just got John Quinn some damage. Quinn with some contact. Daly pulls off. Another in the sand trap with them, with a blow motor. And everything kicking off. That was Brad Miller off the circuit as well with them.
That was 4 cars trying to put a needle in a pinhole, but the needle was just, or the thread through the, I can't even speak, never mind.
Well, that was more so trying to stick a pencil through the pinhole. And
Thank
the
you.
pinhole being
Thank you for
destroyed.
helping me there. I appreciate that help. That's kind of what I was trying to mean. But yeah, that was no way that ended up working. We get this camera angle right here. Very cool. You see that speed, that dynamic angle right here, as this is the battle for first. It's a 3-car battle, and pretty much as long as these 3 cars keep it just like this, without any problems, and again, knock on wood, without any problems, this could be a very good battle as the race continues to wear on.
By the way, Miles and Daly both out with mandatory repairs as a result of that previous incident. But right now, that half a second buffer, they are 7 seconds up over Milwain, Potts, Hardman, and Waring's pack, for reference. Speaking of which, Milwain and Potts looking to swap back and forth. Potts looking to slam those Potts around to be able to move up.
Might be a hard man to deal with as Hardman is right behind and looking to pounce. You like what I did there?
Kinda do. Jake Potts, though, would kinda like to move back up to 4th. With the run, here comes the draft. Defensive line, Milwain. Hardman, not close enough for the lunge on his mark. Braking even on the gear pedals. Milwain holds on with the cross from Potts.
This is some great action right there. We saw them going inside, outside through the 6, 7, 8 curve. What you see?
Hardman nearly got turned around there with the squeeze to the grass. He nearly turned around Potts from that move.
I thought for a second Hardman was trying to send it in deep right there. It would have been a very brash move. Either way, he keeps it on the throttle coming out of that turn 3 Remus, and now down this short straightaway. Not enough time to get in the draft and get something going, but this is a nice 4-car battle.
Great battling in the midst of the top 5, to say the least. 1 car off of the backdrop, by the way, Jordan Coates. That's why he's falling down the pylon. The rest of the drivers up front staying calm. In that train, though, you have Waring looking to shape things forward. +9 and hitting the curb. That will lose him the chance on Hardman here.
It's just so hard with all this dirty air, especially through the 6, 7, 8 complex. They're going so fast to keep it exactly, to place this car, to plant this vehicle exactly where you want it to be, as they all go way over the curbing right there. You see Waring, he's coming down the inside. What's happening?
Might be a slowdown. Yes, it's a slowdown for Waring. You see Rivera able to close up a lot of ground with Justin Gruddy because Waring had that slowdown to serve. He is still trying to slow it down. He might be in rest of the black, just got it cleared in time, but that's put him back by 2 seconds. Huge chance for great points for Rivera, though, to build a buffer with Waring nearly slooping it around in front of him.
Waring has not had a good last third of a lap, and now he's about to be swamped up and swallowed and spit out here as we head into 4.
Ready on the lawn side around the track. Waring holds on. Rivera.
Right corner.
Great corner indeed, but still Rivera trying to find a way around Negretti in turn, who's looking divey.
Negretti is right there. He's going to have to put the throttle or take his foot off the throttle a little bit earlier than he wants to, and might not have done exactly that. He still has the momentum. Good job dealing with that car in front in Waring, but Waring definitely got an extra car length out in front out of that complex as they head down into 9 and 10. Remember, this is where Waring had to serve that, or went off track too much and had to serve a penalty. Did he do it again?
No slowdown penalty this time, but it looks like some dust was kicked off. Rivera defensive with Negretti in front. Coates also trying to line it up. No lunges or swap-arounds quite yet as Rivera looking for another top 5 up the road. Graham's looking for the lead up to the gearbox again.
The Cofre sandwich with Grams in between. It's a great source of racing diet action. And I'll tell you what, they're within a second of each other right now, all 3 cars.
Keep in mind, though, Sebastian Cofre is losing ground to the top 2 despite that draft assistance. That's going to be the top thing, it seems, today. Keeping up with these 2. With how quick they've been, how do you play this out if you want the race win? As Malaire appears to have gotten himself disqualified by not serving the black flag, so one of the teammates to Grams is out.
We are around halfway to the point where we will see lap cars become an issue is, again, everyone's going maybe a little bit too off track than they want to feel comfortable at Red Bull Mobile. I'll tell you one thing. 40 seconds back is Ayrton J. Smith and other cars in that 33, 34, 37 second back rate. How important will the lapped cars be to the finish of this race once we get to, I don't know, say lap 22, as we see him move down the inside? Cody Graham's trying to take first back.
Graham's trying to use a little bit of the straight line speed heading up to Slosh Gold. Left side for Michael Coffray. So far, Coffray has been fairly patient on this. He lets Grams have it again. For the second time, Cody Grams leads it.
No point in trying to force something this early. We're not even halfway through this race. Just let it be. If you have to sit in behind, do so. It's not going to hurt you for too long as you can keep within tow.
But the major thing here, too, one of the major issues in the past, I will put the mention in, was some of the incidents in the past with Michael Coffray. He's turned it around the second half of the year and kept it clean and dominated in turn with the more conservative approach. He stays that approach, he wins the title.
Coffray, 45 points above Andrew Waring, 46 points up above Ozzy Milwane. I mean, it's a really intense battle for the Pro Drivers Championship, the overall championship, from second all the way really to sixth. Obviously, Kevin Sandiego not racing in this one, so that second to fifth battle is intense. It's just, Coffray, just be consistent. A first place result is not going to matter if you finish second. It's okay. It's okay. Big picture here.
Michael Coffray again taking a peek to the outside, going for the up and under on Grams. And meanwhile, Kuntz is falling down the pylon. It appears he's had another issue. And indeed, the oval specialist has gone off the track again from the top 10.
Man, he was running an 8th. Still having to be slow right here.
Did he get help? No. Just that grip to the gearbox.
Yeah, pretty much that.
Yeah, just look at the light. Very edge of that steering wheel.
Lit it up.
Yep, absolutely lit up the tires. So Kuntz from that, back to 17th. Robert Ridgway, meanwhile, currently holding on to the 11th spot. His teammate Steven Ritter's in front. He did give a kind wave to Ritter's earlier with that pass that happened this lap.
Waves kindly.
I mean, you could wave aggressively instead to your own teammate, but I don't think that would go well.
I feel like waving... How do you wave aggressively? You know, it's like if you're out on the street as John Quinn goes into the pits. How do you beep the horn kindly or aggressively?
Very quickly and with an angry face expression. As Michael Coffray stays with Sebastian now. There's several ways
I'm
you
Ron
can be
Burgundy.
What?
I'm Ron Burgundy? Question mark. That's I don't know.
You're not Ron Burgundy.
No, you've seen Anchorman.
I've seen Anchorman.
I don't know. It just sounded like you had a question mark on a statement, and I just said, I'm Ron Burgundy. Anyway, chaos does follow me wherever I go, Justin.
Wow. I mean, it has. With some of the troubles we've seen in the IRL4s, with some of the craziness there, it's been intense action throughout the night when it comes to the Formula 3s as well. Halfway this upcoming time by at the flag stand, looking good on time by at least a couple minutes. Michael Coffray, again running away from his brother Sebastian. Cody Grams has led 3 laps, 11 for Michael.
Currently 5 drivers out of this race, so we're down to 27 cars in the field right now. Varying levels of issues. Looks like some drivers are potentially coming back in. We have some Cars going down pit lane still. This is, strategy is starting to take hold, and there's so much action going on all over the track now.
Keep in mind, Michael Myers did come in this previous time by, so the window is open for scheduled stops. It'll be critical for some of these drivers to get the strategy right. Remember, it's about the same projections window-wise compared to what we've seen in the iRacing 4s. Fuel distance 50% for the F3s tonight.
You want to know how to wave aggressively?
Oh my goodness. I know. Don't say it.
I'm not!
Also, by the way, the smoke puff is because Brett Thurman, I believe, was around that pit lane this time. But either way, the aggressiveness not really there amongst this top three, and that's not surprised again with Michael Kofre. The thing is, though, do you play the undercut call, or do you try and push longer, get the clean air if you're Michael Kofre, and then pit the next lap and get some buffer? Or, option 3, do you make the pass now?
I think whatever you do, you want to try and get away from this three-car battle. Again, it was like Road America. If you can get some clean air, I think you're in much better spots, in much better spaces. However, the problem is, it's going to be impossible to time it correctly just because of how small of a track this is.
Bit of a slide once again from Michael Kofre. And the major thing to consider, too, if anything happens amongst these three, Milwain is one of those drivers who have broken the toe from their pack. So if the intensity level picks up and Michael Kofre has troubles, we talked about it earlier, the scenario, Milwain enters the championship conversation here. So that has to be something factored in when it comes to the ears.
I feel like
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, as we see this battle go on right here, I feel like as we see all these pristine shots of the Red Bull Ring, I feel like it is definitely one of the best places to watch a race, especially if you get on top of the hill around Remus. I mean, it's one of those tracks you can see almost everything going on.
Yeah, it is a very beautiful track here in Spielberg in Austria. Long-time circuit comes to action. One ring comes to mind, for example, with some of the previous names. Grams, though nearly setting himself, ringing around the rosies across the sausage curbs, holding on to it.
Ring around the rosies.
Spinning it off and away. That's Michael Broomhead on the replay.
Again, a lot of single car incidents. We haven't seen too many incidents that are stemming from contact, which, to be honest, is a really nice sign.
That was second in the M class. Now it's Eric Dubé of all cars. And that's a major change, I will say, and a big credit to Eric Dubé because he spun twice in qualifying. Now, he's up 8 spots. Good position at least. Still needs to find ground, though, to keep up with Rivera in the points. The car behind him, for reference, is Manuel Vargas, who's on the recovery drive from getting sent around in the opening corner. He was almost gone exactly back where he started. Speaking of that AM leader, Rivera still running strong. Top 8 right now. He is closing back in on Andrew Waring's pace. Last time by the stripe there, near identical to car 1.
We are starting to get to the point where only 30 seconds separate the majority of the lapped cars between the leaders. Obviously, each lap is around 1:24, 84 seconds. So we're getting to that point. It's just a little bit later than I originally expected. I think we're going to start to see lapped cars become a big issue in the last 5 laps.
They're already closing a bit on John Quinn, who's already completed pit stops, for example. The major thing when it comes to the M side of the card, as we take a look at the overall lead to consider, Quinn had a 21-second pit stop, had to fix some parts of his wing, which really cost him some time.
Okay,
there
Kofre.
Comes the pit stop. This is Michael Kofre, and we talked about this possibility, Kofre, the undercut call. But once again, an issue getting to pit speed.
that be an absolute... we got to make sure that he got down the pit speed or
he got down. He got below the pit speed. That's how slow he was at the cone, and then went to the pit limiter.
Sometimes you just got to make sure.
5.6 seconds for Kofre. Solid pit stop time. Andrew Hardman also in this lap. So windows open with about 12 laps to go this time by, coming to 11.
Those 11 laps are going to go by very quickly. We're going to be done this race in within around 15 or so minutes.
Yeah, so that time going to burn by quickly. Eric Dubé, Richard Swindell's also in this time. So now, what's going through the mind of Grams, who's been running in the 123 flats? That's better than his best lap clean. That's because he's had incident points that have invalidated the personal best lap that he said earlier.
I don't know exactly what's going through the head of Cody Grams, but I'll tell you exactly what's going through the head of Michael Kofre right now. Not the most fun having to deal with all the cars surrounding him right now. He's got he's got a little bit in between he and Steven Ritters, as you can see, 2 seconds as Grams goes down into pit lane. This is going to be interesting to see where Kofre comes out. He hasn't been slowed down too much, but depending on where these other cars are going to stop, Sebastian Kofre also going in, it could be interesting. Everyone in front of Michael Kofre goes down pit lane. This is going to be an interesting battle to see who's coming out with the lead. Grams is way out in front of Michael Kofre. Easily has that lead.
Michael Kofre loses a few tenths in the box, loses a few tenths in the lane, loses a lot of ground and turn to the lead. 1.1 seconds up to speed, make it 1 second between Grams and Kofre. So Grams holds serve, coming to 10 laps to go this time by.
That is it almost looks like a huge gap because we've been, I know it's not huge, it's just a second. It's under a second now, but we've seen these two battling all race, gearbox to gearbox, gearbox to front wing, I should say. Now it's draft heavy. It's going to become draft heavy.
Extremely heavy on the draft, to say the least. Now it's down to 8 tenths. That's going to be critical. Speaking of battles, Waring jumping ahead with the cycle in front of Andrew Hardman. Waring up 10 spots. Waring also came out last time, previous lap, pit stop time for Hardman, remember.
I'm trying to think if everybody has been through pit lane yet.
Indeed, everyone has.
So that means we are back to just open air for Grams. Kofre only having to deal with Cody. Sebastian Kofre is dropped out of his battle for P1.
Oh, something's going on. It's Alexander Rivera. A black flag. Did he speed in the pit lane? This is a 40-second stop and hold penalty in the service.
Oh, no. That is massive for Rivera.
That could cost Rivera the title. Or at least a lot of ground in turn to John Quinn, who's back in 23rd spot.
Now, 23rd is definitely, he's a lot of seconds back, but because it's a 40-second stop and go, oh my goodness, this is a huge detriment to his championship hopes.
Rookie Esports had mentioned on their social media throughout tonight's broadcast, in fact, they were hoping they would be tied entering the night. Well, Rivera might lose ground to Quinn. In fact, now has lost 3 spots to Quinn because of that penalty. Michael Kofre still needing to position himself up at the front. Sebastian Kofre nearly 6 seconds back of these two after the pit cycle. Oh, and wow. Michael Kofre nearly loops it.
Yeah, that was a close call right there for Kofre, but I will say this, and I keep trying to mention it because we're getting to that point where it's going to come down to the last few laps of this race. I do wonder if we're seeing battles happening all throughout this track. There are 3 cars within 2 seconds of each other fighting for 22nd. They're only around 20 or so seconds in front of the leaders. It's kind of hairy.
The pace difference for some of them up to 2 seconds differential. Cabo Easy, by the way, he'd been stuck in the teens most of the race. After the pit stop cycle, though, has gone up to a race high 10th. Partly because, well, Ridgeway has fallen back. Julio Placio also looking to battle with them as Ridgeway locks it up to prevent the contact.
Smart move to lock it up right there. Remember, it's the war, not the battle itself. So you got to make sure you're staying within realms of getting back there, but that was dangerous.
Yes, that buzzes the right front tire, but that is a very smart move to prevent destroying the side pods of each other there.
Look at the difference between Kofre and Grams right now. It's steadily bobbing between 1.0 and 1.2 seconds. Kofre is gaining a little bit, though, with the draft up until Niki Lauda curve. And let's see if he lost a 10th right there around that corner.
Grams has kicked it into high gear, to say the least. Michael Kofre, still with this finish, would secure the championship. Kofre, remember, up by more than a race in the points on the maximum total he could get, and with that pole, that added an additional point to help clinch it. In our words, keep it on the track, you win the championship with a race to go. Ritters has kept falling off the racetrack, by the way. He is off the circuit.
This is getting interesting, because if we don't see any lap traffic, it's just a straight dogfight between Grams and Kofre, as it's been. Has Kofre been sandbagging it just a little bit? Is he going to turn it on late in this race? I guess we're going to find out in just a few laps' time.
Black flag, incident points, Manuel Vargas. Vargas had been spun around early in the race, so he had a 4X from the get-go, so the penalties starting to add up. Waring and Hardman amongst the battles. Kofre nearly loops it around again, and the incident points are starting to add up. Jordan Kuntz has also just picked one up, so now it's a concern if you're the leaders too. Are you good on incident points?
Oh boy. That's something I haven't even thought about yet. My goodness, remember, 13X is a drive-through. That would destroy a race for any of the leaders, especially in this fight, especially with the championship potentially being locked up tonight for Kofre. Kofre is fine where he is. He doesn't have to do anything brash. But when the win is so close, don't you want it?
I mean, you're a race car driver.
If
That's
you no
kind
longer,
of the answer.
Yeah, if you no longer go for the gap and all that.
So many times said by a certain person who has a corner name here. Waring and Hardman side by side for 6th again. Hardman's been trying to swap around the one all run since the pit stops. Having to back it up this time, Waring much better down the hillside.
Ayrton Smith?
Yeah, Ayrton Smith, you mentioned Ayrton Smith, currently in 23rd. Any reason for that as we take a look at Dubé for second-hand?
Well, I was just saying, I was mentioning Smith because, you know, Ayrton. Never mind.
Oh my god.
Sorry.
We made that pun before.
We did. That's the second time. Chaos.
We made that pun in week 1.
I wasn't there.
I know.
I wasn't there. I had to utilize that. Anyway, the gap between Kofre and Grams, it is now down to 0.8 seconds. What you're seeing here is obviously not that battle. This is a good battle right here.
Eric Dubé a lot slower heading off to turn 9, noticed, up to the gears.
Swap over.
There it is, the cross.
Ooh, that could have been bad.
Broomhead really gave him a break there with 6 to go. Looking up front, Graham still up by 9/10 or so. Graham's really slipping and sliding at Michael Kofre, slipping and sliding to the sand trap in the dirty air.
Yeah, this is, oh my goodness. Kofre and Graham's both going through 7 and 8 a little bit dangerously, jumping over the curbs, almost going into that sand trap. They're really getting closer to these lapped cars. I don't know. This is the last 5 laps coming up right here. This is go time here. You can see some of the lapped cars are just exiting the Niki Lauda curve. So is that speed difference going to come into effect? Could it come into effect on the last lap? Oh, baby, this could shape up to be a really fun final 5 laps. Goodness. I mean, we're only around 13 miles away from the finish.
Down to the final 5 laps or so. 9/10 still a cushion. Still needing to find a way back. There's Michael Colfray if he wants to win. Graham's looking to go 3 for 4 in Season 1 of 2023 in this series.
Not bad.
Very quick as an organization, as a driver, as a whole. A 1-5 in the cards for them so far. Wave Italy, with Evolve having a lot of the cards starting towards the back, looking to be in a great spot for the team points as well, with the way things stand coming up 4 to go.
This battle for 5th is having 3 cars right now within 1 second of each other, which can obviously lead to some turmoil. But if you're the car in the middle, which Waring is right now, I don't know if you're in the best of spots here. I'd almost rather be Hardman if Potts was a little bit closer, if that makes sense. I'd rather be the benefactor of 2 cars in front of me racing hard with each other and wearing out their equipment.
One more car is going off the track, by the way. Julio Placio is off circuit. That's why you see him falling down the pylon. Looking at Eric Dubé, he's already had 1 slowdown in this battle in the past couple laps. Michael Broomhead using all the curbing, looking to try and pass him. Valuable points on the line. This is for the AM lead with the troubles for Rivera. Broomhead moves up, Dubé shuffled.
Man.
Way off the track of the backdrop goes 1 car. That's Michael B. Myers.
Did I just see disqualification?
There's no DQ on that one, but there is a meatball flag from this. Placio.
Yep, Placio saw him go black screen and then gone from the race.
Eric Dubé looking to come away with the AM win today. Broomhead looking to join the conversation heading to the final race for the AM title. Dubé left side, Broomhead right side. 13th overall points on the line. Max Schaubert losing ground to the both of them. Dubé swings it high. Broomhead holds it low for the position.
They gave each other so much space right there. Very fair driving, but down into this 6, 7, 8 complex, it might be a swap over attempt as we go to this mini straightaway. Gets all the exit or the entry to the apex. Not exactly hitting exactly where he wants to hit Broomhead there. He loses some ground. Dubé will start to drive away.
Question is, will he though, with the draft? Speaking of looking to drive forward, Michael Colfray is on the loud pedal. He wants the win. Grams has let the gap close from 9/10 to 1/10, back to half a second in the span of a lap and a half.
And just to say, mention not only him in this championship battle, Waring right now is battling for 5th. Could be 5th, 6th, or 7th by the time this race is over.
Question's gonna be, though, how will these two fight?
Oh, a little bit of a wiggle from Grams right there on the exit of Red Bull Mobile. Oh my goodness. Just 3 laps to go, or 2 laps to go, I should say.
Down to the final 2 laps, Michael Colfray in the drafting position, coming on Niki Lauda curb, heading across the sausage curb goes Grams. Colfray lines it up. Grams hard to the right side. Michael Colfray up to the left side. Grams tries to give a squeeze back. Michael Colfray looks to clear. Grams much deeper on the brakes. Grams pinches him off all the way across the curbing to the grass.
Did you notice, though, Grams gave him all the space to come back onto the track? Very fair driving again. Hard but fair.
Jake Potts, incident point penalty from 5th position. Inside, Michael Coffray looks for the cross to get around Grams. Grams takes to the left side, heading up to Rouch. Michael Coffray up along the braking boards, backs it up for the crossback.
If Coffray stays in second, he still clinches the championship. No need to push things here, but again, you want to go for that win.
Am lead also going back and forth between Dubé and Broomhead, coming up to the white flag for the overall win. Here's the Am lead, 3 wide with Chablis looking to make up ground, and one of the lap cars, Emmanuel Vargas, back there.
How are they going to make this all work? 1 lap to go here as we see 3 wide on Remus. This is unbelievable. Final lap.
Broomhead wanting the cars from lap down to get out of the battle. Michael Coffray looking to line things up. One more major chance coming up through turn 3. Michael Coffray to the left. Grams with a little block. Grams with a squeeze. Wheel to wheel. Grams looks to hold it to the curb. Michael Coffray nearly loops it. Still lines it up for the draft with 4.
Oh, this is some awesome racing right here. Right in the gearbox, right in the toe is Michael Coffray. He goes to the outside here, coming into turn 4, has the slight advantage on the left of Grams, but he slides to the outside a little bit too much. Still side by side. Grams might have cleared him. He did, heading into the 6, 7, 8 complex.
Michael Coffray looking to get a little closer. The dirty air, though, a factor. Grams has a good spot, heading up to the S's one final time. Michael Coffray kicks up some sand, looking to try and see if he can pressurize the mistake up to the final corner. Waring's had an issue in the backdrop. Rest of the top 2 look to fight it out for the win. Final corner, Grams. He struggled at times this section. He won't struggle to the checkered flag. Cody Grams wins 3 of his 4 starts in this season over Michael Coffray.
What's going on with Dubé?
Oh, in troubles with the Am lead. Dubé being pressurized by Manuel Vargas, the lap car. Michael Broomhead trying to find a way around. Manuel Vargas breaks in front of the Am leader.
That's just ridiculous right there.
This could open up the door. Waring technical issues out of the race. Clinch the championship regardless, and no matter how you slice it for Michael Coffray. For Broomhead, he's looking for the Am win. One more chance. Broomhead better run compared to Dubé. Dubé looking right. Broomhead left side for the Am win.
This is intense. Are they going to make a mistake? Either one. A little bit of a slide for Dubé.
Dubé having a drag race. Broomhead tries to get the pole, not going to get there. It's Eric Dubé who wins the M class, with Brad Miller closing in the 3rd.
That was a great finish to this AM race. Boy, both the overall / pro and the AM finishes were just tremendous. Great race all around. 2 awesome races here tonight with the IRO4.
Michael Coffray with the finish, and with Andrew Waring having technical issues on the final lap of the race, clinches the title unofficially. Cody Grams wins his 3rd race, but Coffray unofficially is a champion. It's a 2-3 for Wave Italy with Sebastian Coffray in 3rd, Ozzy Milway in 4th, Hardman, Negretti, Akaboeasy with Ridgway, Haynes, and Redders the top 10 All-Pro drivers. Jake Potts, after he served the penalty on the final laps, in 11th. Then it's Eric Dubé by a couple 100ths over Broomhead. 2 seconds back, Miller, Myers, Swindells, Duhamel, Quinn, Rivera, and Smith. The top 20, huge implications for the AM title. James Carter quietly 21st, with Max Chablis having to serve a black flag, finishing last on the lead lap. Waring, with his technical issues on the final lap, finishes 23rd, Manuel Vargas 24th. Lazio DNF with Cody, Jordan Kuhn's also in the same boat. Also DNFs for Courtney, Peterson, Malaire, and Thurman. Remember, Malaire actually got DQ'd from not serving a black flag once more. And Miles and Daly were the last drivers today. They crashed in the opening stages together. They finished 23 laps down, 31st, 32nd. But open up the celebrations, to say the very least. A blue screen to close out the race for the case for Andrew Waring. to clinch the title for Michael Cofre. A third win for Cody Grams on 4 starts. Cody, you've won it again. How are you feeling?
Feels good. Man, that was a battle the entire race. Michael and I are always super close, and I know he's going for the championship, so I knew he wasn't going to race too aggressive. I accidentally bumped him there at the end. I had to apologize to him for that one. But yeah, it was a good race. I like this track. It's really fun. It's awesome for racing. The off tracks are a bit tough. I just about got disqualified. I used 12 of my 13 off tracks, so good race.
Yeah, that was a major talking point. How difficult was it to run around the track without, using to the point where you went past that runoff area, especially the last corner?
It's extremely difficult. I've done 3 official races this week, and I finished all of them well, and I've lost 1.6 safety rating. So it's tough to keep it within the track limits here. This is probably the worst track for it, I think.
Well, Cody, 3 out of your 4 starts, you finish on the top step of the podium. You also pick up and turn the fastest lap. Congratulations.
Yep, awesome. Thank you. Thank you, guys, and we'll see you in a week or 2.
Let's go to Grams coming away with the checker flag. Eric Dubé, after having struggles in qualifying, after having to claw his way forward with some of the bad luck for his competitors, wins it in a drag race for the M class. He's with Dylan.
That was some finish right there. Gotta know, you feel like you had the win wrapped up on that final corner?
I didn't know, actually. I thought Rivera was first, but I had a good battle with Michael.
Yeah, definitely seemed like a fun one for us to watch and for anyone watching on RaceSpotTV. Throughout the entire race, it felt like you were definitely involved in a bunch of battles. How hard is it to stay mentally focused, mentally in check when you're fighting side by side for so many long stretches?
I had confidence in Michael. I see him race for the entire season now, and I know he's a clean racer. And I had some difficulties in the final turn doing in practice. I had a lot of slow down penalties, so I was concerned a lot about this last turn.
Well, congratulations on that win. That was a lot of fun to watch.
Thank you, guys.
Justin?
Well, an exciting finish for Eric Dubé here tonight. Comes to the M side of the card. Let's take a look at the schedule. Watkins Glen to close out the campaign. It's the International Classic layout, Dylan. Going to be a very intriguing finale. Draft expected to be huge, especially with that Classic layout.
The Classic layout is so much fun to watch, especially with open wheel cars that are underpowered compared to a Formula 1 car. It's just so much fun because it turns into a draft fest. And also, Watkins Glen is one of those tracks where you can put any car on it, any type of car, any discipline, and you're going to come out of it thinking, why in the world do we not see more Watkins Glen races on the international scale? So excited for that one. It's going to be a fun finale.
March 2nd, the date for that one once more. But on that note, an eventful end to the night for Open Wheel Thursday's Round 9 action from the respective racetracks on the docket. Yeah, and congratulations go towards Michael Cofre, unofficially the champion, with more than a race advantage, and with his championship rival, Andrew Waring, having a blue screen on the final lap of this race. On that note, it's time to say goodbye. For my broadcast partner tonight, for Dylan Coyle, for Arjuna Kankipati, our producer, I'm Justin Prince saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your week. You've been watching the PRL, the RL4 series, along with this Formula 3 series powered by VCO. Good night from Austria.